Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I am Clementine, and as always, I am Super Saiyan. But never mind that. In this video, we'll go out to the scrap pile and grab some rusty angle iron, get a hacksaw and do some cutting, then a little bit of welding, some welding, and more welding, a bit of grinding, and some painting, some other cutting, and then more cutting, a little bit of drilling, and a whole lot of screwing. Slap a coat of shine juice on there, and that's how you make a two-tiered dream pedal board from scrap metal and Swedish pine. If this sounds like something you might be interested in, stay tuned.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Today's video is brought to you by GuitarBuildingTemplates.com. Templates to build your guitar accurately since 2002. These guitar templates are CAD drawn and laser cut with 1/4-inch MDF for accuracy and durability. Every stage from CAD to cut is done in-house. So if you want to save hours building guitars, go to GuitarBuildingTemplates.com. And viewers of the channel can apply coupon code heavymetalATC15 for 15% off at checkout. Thank you, GuitarBuildingTemplates.com, for sponsoring the channel. Let's get back to some content. Well, as I stated in the intro, I'm out in the scrap metal pile out by the shop looking for some 1-inch angle iron. I found 4 pieces that were loose, that were uprights. All this scrap iron came from the frame that my little 125 Ninja clone shipped in from China. I have a full build video of this bike being built out the wazoo to do about 100 miles an hour, but that's for another day. What we're doing today is just collecting all this angle iron, and I ended up having to straighten up a bunch of it. That's what it's like when you use scrap. So I measure and mark them all to 24 inches, as that's how wide my pedal board's gonna be. Then I start putting them in the vise and taking a hacksaw and whacking them off of there. Surprisingly, hacksaw goes pretty quick through angle iron. Next, I arranged them in kind of an overlapping tray configuration, but I don't know exactly how deep I want the pedal board. So I go get a volume pedal and a large pedal enclosure and figure out that about 17.5 inches is what I want. So then I mark 2 of my cutoffs to 17.5 inches, put them in the vise and cut them off. Now with that all placed together, I decided to take a piece of flat steel from an old wood clamp and make a support by placing that in the middle, marking that, and cutting it off. And here you can see exactly how that bottom tray tier all fits together. Just overlapping corners with a support in the middle. So to measure for my top tier, I measure from the back to about where I know that volume pedal will be able to move freely without my toe getting hung up, and that ends up being about 7.5 inches. So I measure and mark 2 of those, and then cut 2 of those. And here's what the top tier will look like all placed together. And now I'm about ready to do some welding. And I do have a bucket of water on standby. Now the way I do this is I put a square in the corner to hold the corner square, and I put a tack on the top edge and then on the bottom corner. Then I move around to the next corner doing the exact same thing, and so on and so on. And somebody may ask, well, does this stick out? Does this look ugly? Yes, but it's all going to be ground off later anyway. And as I do this, some of you may not know that watch this channel, but I went to welding school when I was young. I was even student of the year of welding school, and all through high school and a little bit after that, I worked as a professional welder and fabricator. I built horse walking machines. But anyway, once I get all the 4 corners tacked, I go around and do a vertical weld up that seam, and you know, ain't this uglier than a flat weld? Yes, it is, but once again, it'll be ground off. And I mean, that's all relative. Flux core wire with a 110 cracker box from Harbor Freight on rusty metal, it's all gonna be pretty ugly. So as you can see here, I'm welding in that support bar into the middle, and then I go ahead and get all my inside corners, and you can see here what I'm talking about. Pretty ugly, but it don't matter. That's all gonna be ground off. Next, I flip the tray over and start putting some more welds on all the little joints on the bottom of the tray, and these are not going to be ground off, so I'm actually acting like I give a damn. And even though it is still flux core and on unclean rusty metal, you can see that it looks a whole lot better when I act like I actually give a damn. So I sweep up all the flux and spatter to make the floor flat again, and then I start putting together that bottom large tray. And it's done much the same way. Put the little square in the corner, tack the top and bottom, go around the thing doing that, and but at the end here I measure from corner to corner and kind of bend it and make sure I got it all good before I weld it permanent, because being a lot larger, it's a lot easier to get out of square. So once again, I go around doing all my inside corners on the big tray, and once I get all those done, I weld in that support in the middle, and I'm just doing this fast, like I don't give a damn, because as you can see, they look like crap. They're going to be ground away and covered by wood anyway. Flip it over, then I put some decent ones on the bottom, actually take my time, and nobody will see these, they're on the bottom, but they're not going to be ground. And to the guy that's going to say, you're not burning hot enough, I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. And also, if you wanted them to all be pretty, the smart thing to do would be to tack it and then stand it up like this and do all your welds flat. But because of the way this thing's going to go together, they have to be ground off anyway. And that's what I'm doing here. Grinding, 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 and more grinding. My glutes, otherwise known as my ass, got very, very sore the next day from all this grinding. So next I sweep up all that grinding dust, and I want this bottom tray to have a little bit of an angle to it, so I set it up onto a board, put my back legs on there, which will be made out of angle iron just like the rest of it. This one I had to grind off the corners. Then to get that angle on the bottom, I stack up 2 cutoffs, put a pencil in there and slide it along the floor, and it makes a perfect mark, as you see here. Chuck that up into the vise and cut it off with a hacksaw. Then to get a mirror image of that on the other leg, I'll lay one over the other, spray some paint on there, and then cut on that paint line. Quick little test fit, and that angle looks like it's going to work out just perfect. Now I need some little flat platforms on the bottom of the legs to attach the rubber feet to, so I take my last little scrap of flat bar, mark an X on it to get my center point, saw that off. Now to get all this held together and do this fiddly ass welding here, I tack that piece of flat bar to the top of my vise. Hold the leg up to the flat bar, flat on the vise, and then weld on the inside of that leg, and I can go ahead and just lay the weld to it. I don't have to tack it or nothing because it can't go nowhere. It's all held down flat against the vise. It can't warp. And as you see, it just snaps right off of there. A tack is easy to break if you can move up against it. So to do the other leg, I do the opposite. I tack the leg to the vise on that same spot weld, and then I hold the little foot in there and then weld on the inside. And once again, it just snaps right off. Now I can set these legs on this tray the way that it's all gonna go at the right angles and put some clamps on there. Then I stand it up and use the holes that are already in those pieces of angle iron that I used as the legs to put a plug weld on there. And that's super great and convenient because as a weld cools, it will pull and contract. This is usually the reason that you tack stuff before you actually put a good bead on there. But with a plug weld through the leg, it can only contract itself tighter and more true. Once I have both of those done, I can go ahead and flip it upside down and put some little short beads on the inside corner. Now with the top tray, I realized I wanted a little bit more angle on it just to make everything easier. I don't have to put my foot way up in the air to hit the pedals. So I clamp it on, and luckily there were holes in the back sides of the legs, and I was able to tack it on with some plug welds as well. Then I flipped that thing upside down and put some beads on the inside corners of it, just like I did on the bottom. Now for the angle struts to hold that front tray from flopping around, I get this what I guess to be an ancient wet floor sign, but the legs are made out of 1/4 inch cold rolled steel. It's very strong, so I measure what I'm gonna need at a 45, pop those up there into the vise and cut them off. Then I clamp them on, tack them on both ends, and start laying some welds to them. Then after I get both of those welded on, the cutting and fabrication part of the frame is basically done. But I want this thing to be strong as an ox. So I start flipping it over and getting to every side of it I can, looking at it, and laying big thick beads on every place where 2 pieces of metal touch together. And the way that the top tray is angled, it left an open gap on the very top edges. So I just take a hammer and beat the hell out of it until it's touching, and then I take that flux core wire, which this is a great part about flux core, it will fill in a gap, and I just booger weld those things in solid. I ended up doing that on both top corners, of course. Then just a little bit of grinding and she's ready for paint. And of course, as the way things go, this is exactly when it starts raining outside, so I hang it up in the shop, put on my respirator, and start putting on the Krylon indoor-outdoor flat black on there, and this is where the real magic happened. Whatever was looking ugly ain't gonna look ugly no more. There's a saying in the welding profession that the grinder and paint makes the welder that I ain't. And as you can see, once it's dry, this looks like something you would buy at Walmart or the music store. I've seen grills at Walmart that look way more boogered up than this. Now simply take that thing down, put it on the workbench, start measuring them treads, and we're ready to play with our wood. And for that, I decided to use this 1x6 select pine board that was left over from doing the live room that came from Home Depot but happened to be from Sweden. It was a little bit cracked on the end, so I chopped that off and started marking and cutting treads out of it that were just 2/16 short of 24 inches. So a modern 1x6 is actually dimensionally close to 3/4 of an inch by 5.5 inches. And maybe a little bit less if it's a select because they've sanded it. And I want to cut these treads into 3 pieces, put a gap between them to use for cable management. So I set my calipers to just a little bit less than 1.83 inches and use them to make a mark down both sides of the tread so that I'll get roughly equal 3-piece cuts, with the middle being a little bit smaller due to the kerf of the saw blade. So I fire up the table saw, run one through there using push sticks to make sure that I keep it tied up against that fence. Then I simply take that cut off, flip it around and run it through there again. And I get 3 roughly same size pieces. And then when I lay them up on the top tread, you can see that this is gonna work fantastic. So I'll go back and start ripping the rest of the treads through there the exact same way. Once again, using a push stick, and this is very important. Cut the stick, don't cut your fingers. Cause I have nicked the push stick. And I have cut my finger on a bandsaw back when I was a butcher. But either way, I lay them up here on the bottom tier and you can see roughly exactly what this is gonna look like. And as much as I thought that this now meant that I was home free and almost done, this is when it really started to get hard actually. I marked all those locations for the top tier. Then I took those boards, flipped them over, numbered them, stacked them up and took them off of there. I started trying to drill holes in it with a regular sized drill bit, and the heat from the welding had like tempered the steel. So some places were very hard. I ended up breaking a drill bit, then having to switch to a step drill, and using a little bit of tap magic, I was able to get all those holes drilled. So now I take some little clamps and clamp all those boards into place, flip it over and start putting some wood screws in from the bottom so that I could have a clean look without any screw heads showing from the top. And luckily I did a test and saw that with this soft pine, I could actually drive these screws into there without having to pre-drill any holes and it wouldn't bust. Okay, so the bottom tier is where this all gets a little bit tricky. I'm able to drill from the top and go ahead and put that first board in there. Clamp it down, flip it over, start putting the screws in it. On the 2 outside screws, I put rubber feet on there from a Fender amp. Then I flip it back over and stack all my treads back in there and mark them all. And I'm able to drill the holes for the next couple of treads, clamp them in there, flip it over and start putting the screws in those. But if you look at how all this is working, you may have noticed that I'm not going to be able to get the drill in there between those 2 tiers. So I have to flip it onto its side and transfer all those marks from the top to the bottom. Then I'm able to drill all the holes that I need from the bottom, and I go ahead and drill the holes in the back feet and put my crossboard back there and attach 2 fender feet to it like I did on the front board. And now I pretty much got to start flipping it over, putting some clamps on there, flipping it back over, screwing that board down, then flipping it back over, putting clamps on there, flipping it over again, screwing that board down on there, and so on until I get them all on there. But once I do, I gotta say it looks pretty sweet, even from the bottom as well as the top. So I crack open a can of semi-gloss Minwax fast dry polyurethane, pour it into a little dish, start taking a chunk of old pants and rubbing the shine juice on there. Make sure I saturate all that wood thoroughly. Then I wipe off all the excess, hit it again once it's dry. And I also got the edges of the frame and everything that would stick out and made it from flat black to semi-gloss black. And I gotta say, holy fajoli, it looks like $1,000,000. That looks pretty awesome for something made out of rusty angle iron that was all bent up out of a scrap pile and some scrap pine from Sweden. Oh, and that shiny look that it has on there, one of the viewers told me that's called chatoyance. So I'll place it in front of the amp to get this final shot here with a bunch of pedals laying on it to see what it looks like. All I gotta do is put some Velcro and stuff on there and she's good to go. I'm sure you'll see me build this board out, build a lot of pedals for it, and come up with some kind of awesome signal chain in the future on this channel. And that just about does it for this video. So if you found this educational or entertaining in any way, hit that like button and maybe subscribe. I am Clementine. You have been watching Heavy Metal ATC. Till next time.